I'm Megan Buttinger. I'm the curator here at George Washington's Ferry Farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And today we're going to take a little walk through George Washington's boyhood home and see what all we're doing to keep our visitors safe since we've reopened a couple weeks ago in this time of COVID. We enter into the house into George's mother's rooms. We call this Mary's room, Mary Washington's bedchamber. As you can see, it's furnished with the type of bed she would have had. It has the trunks she would have stored her clothing and her children's clothing in, chairs for her guests because she also served tea and entertained in this room. The bed that you see here, very fancy one, very nice bed curtains. So when we come through the house, we'll be asking people to adhere to social distancing rules, keeping 6 feet apart. As we come into the next room, you'll see how we're helping people know how far apart they should be. This is the room that would have been most like the dining room for the Washingtons. So we're walking by over here. You can see this is Augustine Washington's secretary desk. It's called an escritoire. You can go on our blog at livesandlegacies.com and read quite a bit about this piece. You'll hear about it on your tour when you're here as well. Because in addition to this being a dining room, it's also where George's father did most of his business as well. You can see the red leather chairs lining the room. This would have been a pretty fancy room when the Washingtons were living here. They had a pretty high level of wealth compared to a lot of their neighbors in this area, but they still weren't living quite the Mount Vernon style of life that you see when you visit that house. They were still working farmers. This entire house is a reconstruction that's built right on the footprint of the original house. This room is the parlor. This would have been the Washingtons' living room. This is where they would have done a lot of their informal entertaining. It was also where they hung out in the evenings. You can see we have a gaming table over here. This is actually an 18th century sofa over here. That's the couch of its day. It's also the room where Mary did her business. Her desk and her account books were sitting over there in the corner. And behind me, we have the china closet, which is where the Washingtons would have stored all of their valuables, fine china, glassware, silver, that sort of thing. And the last room that we'll be headed into is a little tiny bedroom off the back of the house. This was a very pretty little room with actually 2 beds, folding bed over here on one side and a tall poster bed over here. But we don't know who this room was actually used for, whether it was for guests, whether it was perhaps for Betty Washington Lewis, who was the only female child in the family. But it was a very nice bedroom. And so it's the last stop on the tour as we wind our way through the house. You can go to our website, kenmore.org. You can visit our blog, Lives and Legacies, or of course you can always call us. We're more than happy to answer all the questions that you have about visiting during this unusual time and all the safety precautions that we're keeping in place to keep our visitors safe.
Thank you so much for the tour.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.